Youorns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the Youorns 10-minute take on Watford 3, Birmingham 0. Watford getting back to winning ways, and now it's just a real exhale. Because as Watford supporters, we have rediscovered what a win feels like. This is a good feeling, and we need to have that good feeling at least 6 more times this season to have a really good chance. Now, look, I've said what I think about Watford's playoff chances. I won't repeat it here. But I do think that this was a performance to be proud of, the first half of which was splendid. I think arguably the best first half that Watford have played this season. Maybe 2 other games that I can think of where Watford played probably as good as this in the first half of football. The game against Stoke, as I always refer to, the 4-0 game, and then the other 4-0 game, of course, against that lot up the M1 as well, both under Slaven Bilic. But in Chris Wilder's home debut as Watford head coach, Watford couldn't probably have played any better than they did in the first half of the game against Birmingham, except they could have scored more goals. Well, we have been starved for a good Watford performance, and tonight we were rewarded for the hunger that we have had all season long around Watford in their performances. And Watford got off to the right kind of start, the start that we were all hoping for, a start that I've called for numerous times in every game actually this season. Watford to score first and score early, and they did just that. 6 minutes in to this contest, Imran Louza found himself on the score sheet for just the 3rd time this season. But again, it was worth the wait. And of course, of all the ups and downs and the very difficult season that Imran has had, this was a worthy time and a really good time to score this goal early, and in fact, just pricelessly good. And when you think about it, if you look at the back of Imran Louza's shirt, which number does he wear? 6. And he scored in the 6th minute. That might tell you something. But for all that you know, it just was a coincidence. But who knows? Football can be a funny game, and Watford can be a team that can really make you tear your hair out. But Watford today, they made you proud. These lads put in for the cause. They actually played for the shirt. They played together as a team. And I tell you, the first half of this game, Watford were unrecognizable from what we're used to, what we've seen the last 2 seasons, particularly at Vicarage Road. This was a night and day performance and a night and day team from what we saw just a few days before in West London at the Keon Prince Stadium. Watford were aggressive, they were attack-minded, they were fluent, they were fluid, they moved the ball really quickly, and they had confidence going forward. They looked like they were about it. They had the hunger and the desire and the passion that I've been calling for a long time. And they really made that passion and hunger and desire count when they scored that goal assisted by Ken Sema after just 6 minutes. And then it was just another 10 minutes before their next one. Goals came like buses after being missed for so long, coming in one after the other. Keenan Davis. And this was a night of players who hadn't scored for a long, long time. That's what this night was about at Watford, because all of the scorers for Watford hadn't scored in a long while. I talked about Imran Louza, and now Keenan Davis. Mr. Davis hadn't found the back of any net for Watford for 5 months. It was almost 5 months. It had been last October since Watford had got a goal from Keenan Davis. But tonight, he put that right, did Mr. Davis, and got the all-important second goal in this game. And it was confidence personified for him as he was coming down the left-hand side and just smashed the ball from a close angle right into the roof of the Birmingham net to make it 2-0 for Watford. And Watford were flying. Watford were flying 2-0 up, but they should have been 4-0 up at halftime, and they should have had a few more. They had good chances, but their organization from back to front was very good tonight. And in that first half, it was almost as perfect as it could be without the extra couple of goals that Watford's play really deserved in that first half. they did look sublime and easy on the eye. Fluid, confidence, movement, everything was great. The balance was right. Kone, of course, was in for Saw. Saw did not play. He was injured. And you could really see how different this team looked. They looked faster. They looked more driven and more direct. There was no hesitation on the ball. There was everyone knew what their role was. They played as a unit. They played together. And Kone just looked silky smooth on the ball. I really thought that Kone was terrific, as was Loser on the night. Watford should have scored more, but look, they got the 2-0 lead at halftime, and they continued to look very good in that first half, even after that 2-0 lead. But it was the second half where things changed a bit. Watford reverted back to that Watford that we've been all too familiar with at the Vic over the last couple of seasons. And they allowed for, well, I should say, Birmingham, to give them credit, came out fired up and looking to go, especially after what Watford, the former Watford captain, and their head coach, John Eustace, had probably told them in the locker rooms, in the changing room at halftime. And they came out a renewed team. Birmingham had looked like Watford of the old Watford variety that we've seen all season long. And in the second half, Birmingham looked like themselves and played like a team. And Birmingham, in fact, looked like the Watford of the first half of this game. And Birmingham played like a team who were on a mission. And they should have had at least 3 goals in the first 10 or 15 minutes of that second half. The Blue Nose were unfortunate and were done in by some poor finishing. And incredibly enough, one-on-one opportunity, Scott Hogan couldn't make it count. And thank goodness for that, because Watford really should have had a 2-1 game instead of a 2-0 game. And Scott Hogan, reasons only known to him, when he could have either chipped the goalkeeper or put out a shot first time, shot the ball to Daniel Batman's left. And I tell you, Daniel Batman was the most grateful person in Vicarage Road for that, as Watford held on to their 2-0 lead. And then a couple of opportunities for Birmingham swiftly after that, 2 sitters that were missed again. One of them, a header that just went across the face of goal. I don't know how that didn't go in, but it was proving to be Watford's night. Watford, time and time again, were repelling and holding away Birmingham. And Birmingham really did have the upper hand in that second half. And their possession numbers showed it in the end, because it was 50-50 at the end for both teams in possession. And then against the run of play, it was Watford who found the breakthrough after weathering a whole heck of a Blue Nose storm at the Vic to get themselves further away from Birmingham. And with a goal coming from Britt Asamoah, he hadn't scored for Watford, and he had been at Watford, of course, back in 2011, thereabouts 2012. So it had been at least 10 years before you ever got any kind of goal from Britt Asamoah. But he had scored many goals, of course, in between stops at Watford, but he never made it too late. Never too late to score your first Watford goal. And Britt did that tonight, and with great timing, of course, because Watford then went up 3-0. Kone with the assist there, and the ball came in to Britt. He shot the ball, hit the goalkeeper, John Ruddy. The ball bounced back to Britt and in off of his chest and into the back of the Birmingham net. Watford 3, Birmingham 0. And John Ruddy, that name should ring a bell for you as Watford supporters, because you may remember that John Ruddy, when he was in goal for another Midlands team that rhymes with Wolverhampton Wanderers, of course, 4 years ago at Wembley, you remember what happened there as well. So Watford, it was a happy night for the Horns, as the Hornets got the win, the happy Hornets, with a 3-0 victory, comprehensive win. It wasn't easy, though, in that first 20 minutes of the second half, because Birmingham gave Watford plenty to think about and plenty of warnings, but nothing in the way of execution at the end. It's interesting. Birmingham, in some of those moments, looked like Watford have looked in a number of games this season, where the end product, the finishing product, was just not there for Birmingham. And had it been, this could have been a very different outcome. Troy Deeney, the current Birmingham player, a boyhood fan of Birmingham, that's the club he has loved so much for so long, was not playing. He was injured, but he was having a chit chat with Scott Duxbury in the Watford director's box in this game. And he also had a good chit chat with a lot of the Watford fans, taking pictures with them, and also, I'm sure, with a few of the Blue Nose as well, the Blue Nose faithful in the Vicarage Road end. Watford got the win, and that's all that counts in this one. Kone was terrific. Loser was terrific. I think both of them were the joint man of the match for me. But Watford generally were good. all up and down the pitch. The back three was really solid. I love the way Cathcart fit in the middle of the back three that Chris Wilder played. And he had on one side, on the left side, Wesley Hood. And on the right side, he had Ryan Porteous. And I really like the way they gelled together at the back three. That back three was very good. The one thing that Watford should worry about, though, is playing with prosperity, because Watford have got to learn how to play with prosperity in these games. It's been a long time since Watford have had a clean sheet win. In fact, it's exactly 2 months to the very day that Watford last had a clean sheet victory. That would have been on January the 14th against Blackpool at the Vic. It was 2-0 there. And then tonight on March the 14th, a 3-0 victory over Birmingham against 2 B teams. How about that? That is how Watford looked tonight. Watford had the endeavour, but they've got to learn how to play with prosperity in these games and make sure that they keep their levels up. It's understandable that Watford would drop off just a little bit after getting that 2-0 lead. Human nature says that you kind of take your foot off the pedal just a little bit. But Watford have to learn to try to keep their foot on that pedal. And you knew inevitably that Birmingham would play a little bit better in the second half. So that was going to happen. But the good thing is that Watford weathered that storm, and with the help of poor Birmingham finishing, were able to see the game out and get that goal against the run of play, that all-important third goal that made this a contest that was done and dusted as far as Watford were concerned. So for me, the joint man of the match was both Imran Louza and Ismail Kone, the two eyes, getting the man of the match treatment here as far as I'm concerned. The youorns man of the match. Watford then with 3 important points that get them to 54 points on the board and 10th place after Tuesday's matches. Just 4 points now behind the final playoff spot that Blackburn Rovers hold. They're on 58 points in 6th. That was a satisfying victory for Chris Wilder in his first game in charge at Vicarage Road. Wow, that's quite the way to do it. A wild win indeed. This has been the youorns 10-minute take.